first thing is Eddie Gardner's going to do the coin toss on Saturday. You know, Eddie's been with the state since 1982 and equipment manager since '86, and he's retiring here at the end of the month. So I think it's he's worked for. I think I'm the 7th head coach he's worked for. So just happy that Eddie stayed with us for a couple years. He's similar to Carolyn Stewart, who said she'd stay a year, which she did, and Eddie said he'd give us 2 years, which he did. So we're thankful for his service, and he will do the coin toss on Saturday night.
Do you have any fond memories of Eddie?
Not in 2 years. I can't tell stories like somebody else.
So
Except that there's probably stuff down in that equipment room that's been there since '86.
So when you say do the coin toss, is he the flipper?
He's the flipper.
He's the flipper.
Mhm.
I'm just wondering if he might make the call for you there, but no, he's the flipper.
So it has nothing to do with his last name being Gardner and you're playing Gardner-Webb.
No, it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with how many years of service is that? That's 20-some years of service.
Tom, do you feel like when you play a lower division team, as those groups of teams are called, that you can get a good gauge of how your team is improving?
I think certainly you can in fundamentals, and that's what we've made our emphasis of all last week, and we'll continue to try to be a much better fundamental football team. You can tell if a guy's in a good blocking position or a good tackling position, or if he's backpedaling properly and doing things you have to do, and that's all what football is about, is getting better each and every week and get better fundamentals. And that's why we talk all the time. It doesn't matter what it says on the jersey or the helmet. You have to respect the game and play the game.
So in that respect, how did you feel about how things went Saturday? Fundamentally.
Well, certainly, we had to get better pass protection. We had to get better at throwing and catching and doing a lot of things. And I think, we did. From a technical standpoint, we were in good position and we were running routes the right way. The quarterback was throwing the ball on time. So all those things come into play. And that's what you try to do each and every week.
Did you have even a single drop on Saturday?
I think we have one. I think we had one. I can't remember who it was, but when I looked at the grade sheets and we talked about it, somebody did.
Did your defense swarm to the ball a little bit better than it did?
Well, that's one thing that we concentrated on last week in practice, and our pursuit and our tackling, and we wanted to make sure we've got everybody. We had too many loafs the first game, so that's coaching, and that's effort on their part. But we coached them last week to run the ball, and they did a little better. We coached them a little better, and they ran a little better.
Did you make a move last week with the boundary corner and the field corner?
Well, we're still, as I said before, a lot of these positions, North Carolina State owns the position. The player doesn't own his starting job. So, we're still in a state of trying to find who the best people are, and who knows how it's going to end up after practice this week. So, we'll just keep not only the secondary but other places. It's still in a process right now of trying to find the best guys and the best rotation for us.
What did you see on Saturday in that regard?
Well, what we saw about Rashard Smith from the start, that he's a pretty dang good football player. He's not overwhelmed by anything. I think he did a nice job in the boundary. He certainly was the only guy to see the reverse. Now, he got himself in position. He didn't make the tackle, but by being there, it still ended up being a 17-yard gain, I think, but it might have been a 100-yard gain. If he didn't read his keys and do what he was supposed to do. He slowed the play down and gave Earl Wolf time to come back, react, and make a play. So, he's not overwhelmed by it at all, and we'll see how he does again this week.
I guess you could say this will start the defense of your mythical state championship from last year.
That's your mythical state championship, but we'll defend it.
But no, I wanted to ask you, how tangible is that for this team? What does it mean to the team to do something like that?
Well, I think certainly you want to, be good in your home state. And, it's been a point of emphasis that when we were called to it, it was called to our attention last year. We decided to go ahead and try to be that team. So, if this is the first time we have to go on the field and defend it, then we'll certainly try to do our best on Saturday.
Coach, can you talk about Barnes and Washington? How did you feel they played?
I think Washington, did a real nice job once again. he had the advantage of coming in January and going through spring practice, and that certainly helps him understand more specifically pass protection and things like that. And he's made the most of his opportunity, which is what you wanted to see out of him. So, and then I think Barnes ran the ball hard when he got in there. Certainly, we hope we get Eugene healthy to get back in there.
Can I check and see if I've got the freshmen you guys have played correct? Wentz, Richard, Asa Watson, James Washington, Brandon Bishop.
I think that's right.
Do you have plans to play any more?
We might. As I said, we're still trying to get the best guys on the field, and certainly some of those freshmen have some skills and abilities that we think can help us, and some of those upper class, if they're not performing, they're not going to be playing.
Do you think Formiglio can come back this week?
I don't know. We're going to see if he can make it to practice.
I don't know how much records or numbers mean to Russell, but what does it say about him that he's gone this long without?
I don't think he's made any effort not to throw interceptions. I think he's throwing the ball. He's certainly his understanding of the pass offense helps him more this year. But I think it's a process of making good decisions and throwing to open guys.
What's Marcus Coon's status?
Right now, he's not in the 2 deep. So that's a status.
Gotcha, okay. Do you have plans to redshirt him? I heard
We
you
could
had-
possibly do that.
What about William Beasley, another
He
player?
probably will not play this year.
How much of a challenge is there, and how much do you have to watch how your team reacts to having, after a week when almost everything goes well, as opposed to after a week when a lot of things didn't go well?
Well, I think that's our job as coaches, to make sure that, we keep their minds on the business. And I think, one of the things we've done as coaches, and because our staff's been together, is, we treat it all the same. We don't get too high, we don't get too low ourselves. We prepare each and every week like it's the same. I think game day, as I've said before, the crowd and the atmosphere around it lets you know that, maybe this game is a little more bigger in the scope if it, there's a Carolina in the name of the team you're playing. But, certainly there's no reason not to show up and not to play well and play the best you can. And that's what we want to try to get each and every week, is to show up and play the best you possibly can and play with some fire and emotion. And, you only play 12 games. It shouldn't be hard to do that, in our opinion.